One of the major news items of the Round of Germany weekend is that there are some concerns by the teams that development costs for competing in the TM Master Cup Series are spiraling out of control. Those costs may be so high that some teams may decide not to compete in the TM Master Cup Series anymore, especially in lieu of the ASCC's announcement that it will have a cheaper, more competitive race car for 2012. I don't think we've heard the end of this story, so we'll have to keep close attention to that. Also, last year's TM Master Cup Series champion Alexis Rainsford qualified for the Indianapolis 500 the other night, qualifying 14th. That's the center of row number 5. Rainsford has been one of the most controversial figures ever since she came into the sport in 2006, but she has also been one of the most interesting personalities ever to step behind the wheel of a racing car. Dan, off to you. Thank you, Lance. Taking out the Delano Polaward in his home race, and in Gessler's home race is Franz Redlich in car number 94. The Silver Arrow on the front row, with Mike Whitmore on the outside, Zach Duff and Avery Holtzman in row 2, and in row 3 is Luciano Savarol and Alan Hodges, two of the hard luck men this year. You see Redlich gets a good jump off the line, coming down in through turn 1, and down this long straightaway here. This is a triangular shaped track with very wide turns. And Redlich has a good start already. We've got 4 wide, a bit further back. That's Nils Talonen on the inside. Right in front of him, that yellow and red car is Scott Hamilton. And you see Tom Delgado in that 837 car goes way, way high. And Hamilton into the grass a little bit. Looks like he might have lost the back end, but now he's pulling into the pit area. So it looks like Hamilton may have a puncture on car 46, but Talonen getting... Wow, that was almost a very big incident there. But that is a puncture on the Hamilton car. So the Xenos not having a very good start to the race. Car number 42 is being driven this week by Craig Younser. It seems that car is a bit of a revolving door at the moment. He's running for the Independence Trophy with the J.D. McDermott team. And he used to drive for Andrew Craig, best finish of second in Italy a couple years ago. Car number 43 is being driven by Luca Scalora, ex-Volpe driver. And Scalora's been very slow all week. Puncture on Mike Whitmore's car! Another flat tire. So, we've got tire problems already. Whitmore, in that 36 car, felt the tire going down. Brought it in. Car number 1 is being driven by Packer Carroll. He is the reserve driver for that team. Taking over for Alexis Rainsford. He was 7th at the line. Car number 1 has not been out of the points in every race this year. Good finishing record, and that's a pretty tough standard to raise Packer Carroll, so you can't exactly expect him to perform at Alexis Rainsford's level, but it looks like he's doing so. Leonid Roderick in car number 4 has a new sponsor on that car. Launch Energy has decided to sponsor both his car and Arto Kekkonen's 14 car. The orange flavor is on Roderick's car, and he didn't give it a very good qualifying run, considering he was expecting to qualify well inside the top 10, but so far he is working his way through the field fairly slowly. Timo Strack is driving car number 29. He's a German supercar driver, so the local fans are very familiar with that name. He drove the Gessler in Russia, however he crashed the car in practice twice and therefore didn't take the start. Davina Henton was normally driving this car. We don't know if Henton will return to the 29 car for Karjala. She has done a very good job in that car, but it looks like Timo Strack is also doing a respectable job. Zach Duff in car number 2 is running very strongly in the Volpe. I think Volpe was sort of expecting Duff to take on a bit more of a leadership role this season, and it looks like he's doing that, especially in the race that Alexis Rainsford is not expected to be in. He is losing a spot right now to Luciano Savarol and Marcus Leonard. Interesting to note that of the top 5, 4 have not won a Master Cup race before. Nils Talonen is falling off the pace quite rapidly. I want to say that that he's lost a cylinder in that car, because look, Mike Whitmore's already caught him, and Whitmore has gone a lap down due to that puncture he suffered earlier in the race. So it looks like it is it looks like he lost a cylinder, at least that's my guess. Camelot Racing is having a terrible run with Scott Stoidler and Chris Johans. They are running way further back than they're used to running. So it looks like Stoidler and Johans have got their work cut out for them. Carlos Donzello took over the number 75 car. Rather, this team just started up. This team is only supposed to run Karjala, but they got an Independence Trophy slot after Evans Motorsports basically never showed up. At lap 15, here are the positions, and you'll notice Carlos Donzello in 18th place, giving a year-old Omeka a great run, as Luciano Savarol and Avery Holtzman begin to hound Franz Redlich. You'll also notice that Matthias Taub is running very well, and Tony Durbin. 21st and 22nd, Tom Delgado and Zelda Ashby. The Nomotos are laying back. Takumi Katashima, again, is not too worried, and whenever he has not been worried, they've done very well in the end. Adrian Devereaux is having a run at Franz Redlich. Almost called him Avery Holtzman. There's Holtzman back there in 4th. But Devereaux goes by on lap 19. Luciano Savoral is climbing all over Franz Redlich. Alan Hodges and Arto Käkkinen have had strong runs, but very little to show for it this season, in particular Alan Hodges. And they're also doing very respectably. Tony Durbin is running in 14th place, and it looks like he's doing fairly well today. He's had a terrible season so far, marred with crashes and poor runs, and this is a track that we expected Durbin to perform well at, and to be quite honest, I think he's expected more than just to run 14th all day. He only has 1 point coming into this race, and 3 wide in front of him, Packer Carroll, Arto Käkkinen, very close. That was almost a giant crash. You may have noticed that the leaders have just put Nils Talonen a lap down, so there's it has to be something as dramatic as a cylinder going down in these 6-cylinder cars. So he's going a lap down. Car 22 really struggling today, as Adrian Devereaux not terribly complimentary of the backmarkers in Britain, and I don't think Devereaux is going to be terribly happy about them today, even though they did give him a bit of a lead. Whoa, Redlich in the 94 pushed up the track a little bit, almost knocked out Duff. Scott Hamilton is in danger of going. He is a lap down, but he's running the same speed as the leaders are. Camelot Racing may have resurrected their Merlin engine program. That's the engine program that they had a long time ago in the 90s, and it looks like that might be why they're running so poorly and why Scott Stoidler's just blew up. There's been some rumors that the Tremwell program in the TM Master Cup Series may be separating from the Peter Keyes SAR empire a little bit. And because they have been using the same engines that Team SAR USA have for most of this season and last year. So this could be their own engine program. Adrian Devereaux leads on the restart. You'll notice Hamilton, Whitmore, and Talonen on the inside. Hamilton and Whitmore are as fast as the leaders. Those cars are in good shape, however, they're a lap down. Savoral going for the lead in the Cleffer Media 3 car, but we got another yellow on lap 45. Right on the restart, Woody Watts collects with the other FinTech car, Mika Turvo, and takes both the Bill Barclay STS cars, which have been magnets for early race mayhem. Mid-race mayhem in this case. Gasper D'Souza and Michael Sykes both being involved. Looks like Watts just runs into the back of the 12 car. That was a fairly silly collision. Watts is don't need to be jumping all over people on the restart. That's going to take D'Souza out of the race. Sykes continues, but looks like Strakmia got bumped by Scalora. Under the yellow, Adrian Devereaux takes a poke at Nils Talonen for being slow, apparently. Devereaux not terribly happy with car 22 for being a nuisance on the track. Devereaux then decided to shake his fist at Nils Talonen, and, well, that's that. Devereaux leads on the restart. He gets a great jump off the line. I don't know why he'd be angry at Talonen when Talonen's actually keeping other cars off his back right now. Leonid Roderick in car number 4 trying to... he's getting stuck behind the 22. I know Nils Talonen's trying to have a good points day for the Independence Trophy, but I think if you got a car that slow, you shouldn't be on the racetrack. He's trying to be a gracious backmarker, but there's really only so much racing room. He's moving way out of the line, trying to get out of everyone's way, but there's really only so much space to go, and so kind of a hard thing to be in his situation. But in the meantime, Savoral has gone back into the lead in car number 3. The Bolden is making a very bold move into the lead. Mike Whitmore is third in line, trying to get his lap back. Bobby Porto has moved up to 4th, and you'll notice number 75, the only MAO1 in the field, Donzello, up to 9th, and we got a battle for the lead here as Devereaux makes a move on Savoral coming into the... And it looks like I see Marcus Leonard back there. He's got Hamilton there as well. I was wondering where the 46 car was. And the Xenos, there's Hamilton trying to get his lap back also. He has a car fast enough to do that. Here is Mike Whitmore, and here's the problem here. You have lapped cars that are as fast as the leaders, but they're racing to get their lap back. If Whitmore catches a lucky yellow, he's back in the race. Tony Durbin is still running in 14th. I'll be honest, I had a little higher expectations, particularly here, of Tony Durbin. Kind of emblematic of his entire season, really. But at least he's solidly in the points this race. Here is Carlos Donzello. He's fighting for 9th. That's way higher up than the running order than I expected coming into this race, but that car appears to be slowly going backwards. The Ian Masterson team has never had a run this good in their 7-year history. Back up front, Adrian Devereaux still in the lead. Zach Duff in that red number 2 car making a move. Takes a poke on the inside. Devereaux gives him enough space, and Duff's going to go through into the lead. So Duff makes a move for the lead. Luciano Savaral all over him in the Bolden. Oh, almost onto the rumble strips down there. You don't want to go down there. And it looks like Duff's going to hold on despite a spirited charge from Savaral, who almost gets in the back of Duff. Ethan Everett, car number 11, and the Rick Milligan car is having one of his better runs of the season. However, that's going to be scuppered by what appears to be another tire problem. Everett feels the tires going down, slows up on the outside, jams up Tony Durbin. Sort of your teammate, but not really. They both have the same engine in that car, and they're both under the Saar family. Jams up Charlie Waters in the 10, and Arto Kakinen in the 14. Durbin has the car stuck in high gear, and he's going to have to give up a couple other positions in the process. Not necessarily a good run for Tony right now. Lap 70, Zach Duff still up in the lead. There you see Devereaux, Savaral, Leonard is working his way up. Redlick has fallen back. Kurt Pliskin jumping up. Jacques Bouvier is in 8th place in car number 7. He won this race last year. Lewis Kingston in the Degarmo car, also another tire problem. So Kingston into the pits with issues. Looks like tire dramas will be the story of the day. We didn't have any tire problems in either of the practice sessions, I should point out, as Savaral still leads. And here is Adrian Devereaux. Savaral took over the lead. Whoa! Franz Redlick is making another bold move. He backs out of that, because that could have been a wreck towards the front of the field, and that would certainly not have been good. And Marcus Leonard now in the 999 has a move on Adrian Devereaux as he hunts down the leaders. Franz Redlick in car 94 to the crowd's enjoyment goes around Luciano Savaral, win the Gessler to take over the lead. Adrian Devereaux made a fuel gamble. Pit now, because if this race goes green the rest of the way, everyone will have to stop with just a handful of laps to go. Carlos Donzello's in trouble. Oh no! The Ian Masterson car is having problems. Looks like the turbo's gone on that car. Oh, Donzello is going to have to drop out of the race. Oh no, after a brilliant run by Carlos. This run was saying a lot because he's had a difficult run in the Tutino this year and run at the back most of the time. This is a gut-wrenching, for Carlos Donzello in that 75 car to drop out so late in the race is definitely going to, well, that's going to hurt. And here is Marcus Leonard in car 999 having a run at Franz Redlick for the lead. The Canadian makes a bold move to the inside. He can smell the lead, and he's going to try to take it. Here's Savaral. Whoa! Savaral, very aggressive. Leonard jumps away from him a little bit and almost puts himself and Redlick into the wall, but Leonard's still going to have enough momentum to clear the 94 coming into turn 1, but I see back markers up there. That's Mikhail Polyakov in the Katsev and Lucas Scalora in the white and yellow Tutino car that Carlos Donzello has been driving most of the year. As now Leonard has to fend off the charge from Franz Redlick, a very determined Franz Redlick. Former German supercar champion in his own right at one point before he moved to the GRL. We had a caution with just 6 laps to go. Lap 94. Bobby Porteau in car number 15 is having a very solid run, and so is Packer Carroll in car number 1. They're battling on the inside, and it looks like Porteau just hooks the back of lapped car Lucas Scalora and sends Porteau for a spin. I can't imagine that made Packer Carroll very happy, or Lucas Scalora, because Scalora just got run over by Porteau, and I really don't think there's any reason for Porteau to even be going up there. I only can assume that Porteau hasn't really gained a reputation as a crasher, but I think that might certainly change after today. And it looks like here's the there's no way that Porteau would not have realized that the 43 was up there. I mean, and just sends the one car spinning. It just looks like that he spun the 43 out to bring out a caution.
I don't think the officials were terribly happy about that. Here's the battle to the stripe. Marcus Leonard wins the battle, but we had a restart. With just 2 laps to go, we have a restart. This will be a green flag lap, then the white, and then the checkered flag will come out. Leonard moves a little high, and Redlick makes the dive into the first turn. Coming out of turn 1, Redlick got a better start than Leonard, got a better entry into turn 1, and Redlick now takes the lead in car 94. And now, he's got to hold off Luciano Savaral. Of the top 5 runners right now, only one of them has won a Master Cup race, Kurt Pliskin in the 16. The 36, that green car of Mike Whitmore, not on the lead lap. The Gessler has never won a race. The Bolden has never won a race. And neither has the JD Predator, the James Dalton designed car. Leonard has another run at Savaral, but we've got problems in the back. Mikhail Polyakov, car 24, moves way to the outside. He's going to get hooked by Leon Keniston in the 39. Spins. Keniston and Matthias Taub out of points-paying positions. Oh no, and Chris Johans is involved in the 64. So all that drama in the back is going to bring out the yellow flag on the last lap. That's not really going to matter much, but I really want to know what this rash of yellow late in the race is all about. We've had 2 wrecks that I think could have been avoided very easily, but that doesn't matter. This is the race back to the checkered flag. The checkered and the yellow around. Here comes Franz Redlick, car 94, the Gessler, a German car on German soil, and rounds the final corner. And Franz Redlick finally takes home his first TM Master Cup Series victory. After a disastrous stint with the old Aerotech team and with Volpe, Redlick finally picks up his first TM Master Cup Series victory. He shares the podium with Marcus Leonard and Luciano Savaral. Holtzman, strong running from both Gesslers. They both finished where they qualified. Kurt Pliskin finishes in 5th for Power Steering Incorporated. Zach Duff in 6th. Bobby Porteau, I don't think he's going to be a very popular man after this race, finishes 7th. Alan Hodges, that's a good way to break a bad luck streak so far this year for car number 13. Leonid Roderick in 9th, and Packer Carroll, a great 10th place finish for him. Yumino Tenshi, Tom Delgado, very quiet runs up to 11th and 12th. Zelda Ashby, also another quiet run up to 13th place in the Juno. And 14th place is the man that held 14th place for most of the event. Tony Durbin qualified 17th, finished 14th. He's just happy with points. He said after this race he was so thankful for all the work that had led up to today's finish, according to him. Dale Roswell, Woody Watts, strong runs. Arto Kekkonen as well. Mika Turvo in the points in that Independence car, and then both of the Trevor Carrington cars, Timo Strack and Stefan Alvari, cracked the top 20. Strack, in particular, makes sure that both Germans take home points in their home race. So, it looks like a good day for Germany overall. Jacques Bouvier was running in the top 20 for most of the race, but it looked like he had some problems on the last lap, and he dove into the pits immediately after the final restart, which we apparently missed.
Let's have a look at the TM Master Cup Series drivers' points, leaving the round of Germany and entering the Karjala Grand Prix.
Leonid Roderick, the 4-time series champion, is on top. Avery Holtzman second. Pliskin, Devereaux, Tom Delgado. And there you see Delgado and Yumino Tenshi in 7th. Team owner Takumi Katashima has said there's more to come from both of them, so we'll have to keep a special eye on the Nemotos. And when they start making protestations like that, you pay attention, because that means there's usually some serious speed in reserve. Alexis Rainsford, 6th in the championship, didn't start the race today. She's at Indianapolis. Marcus Leonard, Franz Redlick in the 94. With his first win, jumps up to 9th. Mike Whitmore, if it wasn't for that disastrous tire failure, who knows where he could have finished. Might have contended for the win, even. Arto stays where he is. Zach Duff is in a 3-way tie with Charlie Waters and Zelda Ashby. Luciano Savaral has had a good points day after several runs of bad luck this year. I think Savaral would be a lot higher in the points if those wouldn't have happened. Chris Johans and Scott Stoiler, I think, are probably both wanting to forget today, in particular Scott Stoiler. Michael Sykes and Gasper de Souza are both hanging in the top 20 with inferior cars, I should say. That is not a 2011 model. There is no 2011 STS model. That is last year's car, and they're doing a good job with it. And Woody Watts rounds out the top 20 in the Bolden. However, it looks like he's being beaten quite handsomely by Luciano Savaral in the pace department.
And let's have a look at the Independence Trophy standings leaving the round of Germany. Mika Turvo is on top, finally eclipsing Tyrone Stanley's mark of 113 points with 131. A bit further down, Nils Tolonen has tied Ali Riggs on 57 points. However, I don't think Tolonen's a serious competitor for the Independence Trophy with the way things are going for him. However, he might be a long shot to win the Karjala Grand Prix, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes for him. And Carlos Donzello has added his name to the bottom of the list after being one of the first cars to retire from the round of Germany after a heartbreaking turbo failure in his Omeka MA01.